Welcome to the Ready Room Podcast. I am your host, Josh, and today we have a special guest named Travis.
Hey.
Today we are talking about getting into competition shooting. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, so this is take number 2 in as many days because last night we recorded this episode. Travis was a kind man, came over, and there was a massive failure with audio recording. So I went to go edit, and there was no audio. And Travis was even kinder enough to come over a second day in a row.
No problem at all.
So, getting into competition shooting is the subject of today, again. Travis, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yep. My name's Travis Carroll. I'm a local here with Josh at Spartanburg. I grew up as a typical Southern shooter, 22s and shotguns and 30-30s.
Yep.
And kind of progressed from there.
So, been shooting his whole life, and I can tell you're like really trying to remember what you said yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I had that rehearsed in my head because I hate introducing myself.
I don't blame you. I don't like introducing myself on, like for the first time somewhere new. Like back in school when they used to make you raise your hand, you're like,
yeah,
I don't know, I'm some kid. Can I sit down, please?
Yeah, like talk to me for 5 minutes and you'll get to know me.
Yeah. No, I get it. And guys, the recording yesterday was so good. It felt so natural. And it just kind of makes sense that it had to go wrong for some reason. So we're going to do our best to make sure this is as good as yesterday. But the reason I chose this topic for Travis, or Travis chose this as well out of a bunch of topics, is because if you were to ask, a grandmaster competition shooter what it's like to get into competition shooting, you're not going to get the same answer as someone who is freshly gotten into competition shooting. Because with that grandmaster, it's like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It's a long time ago. So they've forgotten the intro into competition shooting. It's second nature to them now. So Travis has been recently getting into competition. And if we're being honest, he's been doing really, really well lately for his level of experience. Like he's been doing really, really well, guys. So real quick, before we get started, you can find us on Instagram at TBR Gunworks. You also can find us on Facebook at TBR Gunworks and TBRGunworks.com. Travis, do you remember where they can find you on Instagram? It's like Travis Carroll, and there's some numbers.
Carroll Travis 90.
Okay.
Last name, first name, 1990.
There we go. That'll work. And we'll say it again at the end. But if you're listening on podcast sites, please remember to leave a review and share it with your friends if you don't mind. Reviews are the number one way to help out podcast sites or podcasts in general. We really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, give us some engagement. So, Travis, can you let us know how long you've been getting into competitions? Like how long as of late has it been since you started getting into competition?
So I think the very first competition I went to was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
3.5 years ago. It was the same match me and you went to, the CNC indoor.
That was your first one too?
No, not the one you went to.
But it's same kind of.
Yeah,
I got you.
Same place, just different time.
Gotcha.
And that was, I don't know when it was. I'd say good solid 3 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe longer. Went there just on an invite from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
He thought it'd be something I liked, and I ended up really liking it.
Are you angry at a friend now for getting you into it and giving you the bug? Or are you thankful?
Thankful. I'm not.
It's like a mixture, right? Like you're like, dang, now I got to spend more money, but this is an awesome hobby.
Right, it is an awesome hobby.
Yeah.
It's many skills that you can apply to different. If you shoot other things, it's translated over, and it's just good skill. Just a good skill set to have.
Yeah, I want to specify. Travis is mostly shooting USPSA.
Yes. And
have you dipped your toes in a 3-gun or 2-gun or anything like that?
No, I would really like to do a 2-gun match. If I did a 3-gun match, I'd have to borrow somebody's shotgun.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
A lot of kit involved for 3-gun as well.
Yes, and it does not appeal to me because I'm proficient with my pistol and my rifle, and I don't know how to be with a shotgun, but it just looks complicated.
Yeah. Well, those speed loads for shotguns are a whole nother set of skills to learn.
Yeah.
But
I can't speed load 870.
No. It seems like 2-gun has picked up more on the West and Midwest than the East Coast.
I hope it makes it here.
Yeah, because I think I honestly would rather do 2-gun than 3-gun.
Yes.
But I mean, 3-gun does appeal to me a little bit, but it's mostly because I don't have access to 2-gun.
Yeah.
But so we're mostly gonna be talking about USPSA pistol shooting today. But this is still like the mindset and the ideas of getting into competition will apply across the board. So just hear us out. Travis actually took me to my first competition and second competition, which are, fun fact, the only two I've been to.
Yeah.
Only and strictly because of money, because I haven't been able to afford to go to one since then. But I mean, it immediately gave me the bug. The first one was awesome. It was indoor. And the second one blew me away. It was an 8-hour, all day, 8-stage course of fire.
I think it was 8.
It was like 6 or 8 stages, and it was just, I mean, it was exhausting. It was hot, but it was still awesome.
Yeah.
It was an awesome, awesome thing. And I think it's one of those hobbies that immediately becomes addicting.
Yeah.
Even though your wallet knows you can't afford it.
Right.
Kinda,
Especially now.
Is it kind of like, well, I guess this is family friendly. I don't know if I can say drugs.
Nah. Well,
it's like a drug though. I mean, you take it and you're like, dang, I want to do this.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't even know if we can, but
it is. It's very addictive. It's a competitive thing that I'm drawn to it because I can see improvements in myself from time to time.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really important. And across any hobby, seeing improvement and seeing progress is always really exciting to see. And with shooting, like you mentioned earlier, it's one of those things where a lot of these skills will translate across the board for other things. So what if you're doing all this training just for competition? Well, it's still going to help with some self-defense scenarios.
Yeah.
Not 100%. Everyone, but like drawing from the holster, getting really proficient at that is only a net positive to you concealed carrying,
Right.
Even if it's a different holster, it's still that whole mindset of clearing the gun, I really like the fact that these are skills that will translate. So what do you like about competition shooting the most? What is like the most fun thing for you?
So just the thrill that you get, the pressure that you feel when the buzzer goes off and it's time for you to shoot. Like it's a rush. It's an adrenaline rush. You're sitting there, you're watching the guy in front of you go, and you're like, man, it's my turn. And you try to remember your course of fire, what you've thought through your head, what you're going to do, where you're going to stand, what you're going to do, target you're going to shoot first.
Most of it goes out the window as soon as that buzzer goes off.
Yep, and that can be good or bad.
Yeah.
So either the buzzer goes off and you've either got it together or it falls apart.
I think I think what's really fun about when it falls apart is you're like, well, I know I screwed up, so let me just have fun with this one. Like, I had one like that where I went to go draw from the holster. As soon as the buzzer goes off, I try to draw, and it was a holster that I had not trained with. So let me back up for a second and remind everyone that these two competitions I went to were complete spur of the moment things where Travis was like, I know you're going to like it. You're going. I'm going to come pick you up. Hop in. Like very spur of the moment. So I had not trained with this handgun or this holster. And the whole reason I brought those two was because I had a out of the waistband holster for him.
Right.
It was my wife's. Actually, I bought my wife a Canic Elite Combat or Combat Elite, whichever one it's called. And it came with an OWB holster. So I figured I could use that for competition. So I'd actually not trained with this specific holster. It required a finger pad release. Was not used to that whatsoever. So I went to go draw on this one stage, and I didn't press the finger pad release hard enough. So I jerked up, and nothing happened. And I had to go, well, do it again. And I already knew then that that stage of fire was blown.
Yeah.
So I kind of just, did my thing, took my time, relaxed, had a good time.
When it doesn't go like you planned, it's like everything else. When the plan falls apart, everything falls apart.
Yeah.
Like it's one bump in the road, and it's hard to get back on the smooth road.
For sure. And honestly, I think even if you're someone who wants to go into competition shooting, but you don't really want to try and compete at a progressive level where you're trying to like actually keep track of your rankings, I think the best part about it is you're still out there shooting your gun.
Yeah.
Like he actually said this yesterday and on the first recording. But I mean, when is it not fun to just go shoot your gun?
Right.
Yep.
And then they have a course of fire set up that would be way more creative than what I would set up.
Oh, 100%. Although some of these guys that create these courses of fire are absolute jerks.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I want this to suck, and I want it to suck a lot.
I want to watch people fall apart.
Yeah, like the one we did up in the woods. And some of you guys, I mean, you weren't there, but like there was one of the stages on the second competition I went to was up in the woods, and it was a real small little course of fire where you're shooting maybe 5 yards away, and it seemed like a simple course of fire, but it was not a simple course of fire, and everyone sucked at it.
Yeah,
it was the one up on the hill.
Yeah, I don't remember the course, but I remember the area.
And I was like, man, it seems like such a simple course, but the jerk who made it knew it wasn't going to be simple.
Oh yeah,
and everyone was sucking on that course.
Yeah.
No one was just like blowing it out of the water.
Yeah.
But it was still fun because you're out there shooting your gun. And like I said earlier, another like really fantastic thing just about the fact that even if you're just doing it to have fun, it's making you a better shooter because you're learning to shoot under stress. And it's stress that doesn't put your life at risk, which is one of those things like, all these, let me just say high-level shooters or high-level self-defense instructors will tell you that whenever your life is put at risk and you have to draw your weapon for self-defense, the stress and the adrenaline rush it completely changes your body chemistry and your fine motor skills disappear.
Yep.
Like the ability to manipulate safeties is a harder thing to do. And, all these things get more difficult unless they're muscle memory. So, you want to try to introduce stress while you're training, and the competitions do that
right.
in I would say in spades, because that timer, that artificial stress of a timer really teaches you to work under that stress, and that's just awesome, man. And it teaches you to shoot not only accurate, but fast and accurate.
Yeah. Which
I think is what most people don't realize is the winning combination of...
Yeah,
I'm trying to play it safe because there's stupid rules. It's the winning combination of keeping yourself alive, right?
Yeah,
is shooting accurately and quickly.
Right. Yep.
Because quickly without 100%. Accuracy is useless. Maybe except
Yeah.
for suppressing fire, and accurately at a snail's pace is going to get you killed.
Right.
So it's just a great combination. I think competition shooting is just nothing but net positives minus the cost.
Yeah. Well, and pre-COVID, the cost wasn't. It wasn't as bad.
It wasn't as bad. Yeah, I think the only major cost, as long as the entries, from what I could tell, weren't that bad.
$20.
Yeah, not that bad.
Like if you're law enforcement, a veteran, active military, they'll either knock it down to $5 or you get in for free.
Yeah. The one I went to, the second one actually was like $5 entry or 15 or something super cheap.
I think it's $5 down there.
Yeah, it was super cheap because I was a veteran. I was like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the only really at that point, as long as you have a gun that you're comfortable with, the only real barrier to entry is bring ammo.
Right. Well, down there then.
And at the time, it wasn't that expensive.
When you shoot, say, 200 rounds, it's 4 boxes. And what was ammo then? You had $40
back then,
in it.
Dude, I mean, back then that was like 30. Yeah, after tax, probably. Yeah, about $40.
Yeah. And
now that's about
$160.
Yeah.
As bad as that sounds.
Awful,
Jeez.
dude. That is awful.
Yeah, and you can't.
Hopefully, this content is not evergreen. Hopefully, if someone hears this in like 2023 and goes, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
I hope that's what happens.
Ammo was that much?
I hope someone listening in 2023 like has to remember back and go, oh my God, that's right.
Yep.
Not, it's still like that.
Yeah.
Because that would be depressing.
Yeah. And
it's already depressing.
That's why the bigger matches that require that much, I've not been going to them. I've been going to the small, usually at an indoor match.
Yeah.
They can't get crazy with their course setup.
Yeah.
So the course of fire is a lot smaller.
Yes.
You can go down there, and if you're perfect and don't miss, you might get out of there with a box of ammo because
I know the first one we went to, I only brought 2 boxes, and I had leftovers.
Right. And they're gonna have one stage that's they call it a classifier that's there's a set score to assess how you did compared to everybody else.
Yeah, it puts you in like a division.
Right. So, those are usually low round count.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that even maybe as low as 12 rounds.
That's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah, I really I don't like indoor matches as much as the outdoor matches because, like you said, the creativity of the course of fire is so much broader with the outdoor matches. But the indoor matches do require much less ammo.
Yep.
From what I've seen. I think that the competitions that are doing like 500 to 1,000 round counts, I don't know how they're still getting people.
Right, I know. Well, and you wouldn't believe how much it's slacked off. I mean, it just didn't go into like the little indoor one. This $20 and maybe 75 rounds max.
Yeah,
I would venture to say it's cut in half.
The people there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that doesn't surprise me because I don't blame people for not wanting to just throw gold away for
Right.
fun. Because if you're not competing to really compete and climb division rankings
Right.
and all that stuff, then you're really, I mean, as much as fun as it is and as good as it is for your, your training and you're working under stress. And like we said, you're getting those reps in. Even if you're just shooting, you're getting reps in, manipulating your weapon. I don't blame people for not wanting to throw
Yeah. Well,
$100 and something at a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, like with the current ammo situation, I haven't bought ammo in a long time.
I have.
So I am
I'm stupid.
shooting my reserve, and that's once I get to the bottom of my reserve,
It's going to hurt.
it's probably going to be done for me for a little while until, you come upon a deal or you just want to shoot bad enough where you go out and spend that money, but then it'll limit me to what I want to do.
Yep.
And that's why I'm trying to be conservative. That's why, like the dry fire that I've been doing,
Yep.
that saves a ton of ammo. And then you go to these competitions, and then you that's what I'm using for live fire experience right now.
Is the competitions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue. You mentioned dry firing, and I was going to ask you, since you're pretty fresh to the competition shooting world, what kind of work goes into preparing for competition shooting? Once you dipped your toes and you want to keep going, what kind of work are you putting into to really compete a little better? And well, no, I think that's good enough. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for a long time, I didn't do anything. I didn't pay any dues, if you want to refer to it like that.
Yeah.
I thought I was good enough. I was fine with what I was doing.
Yeah.
I would just shoot him. I'd go out and shoot with my buddies in between. Nothing geared towards competition. Work on draws or anything like that. You just went out and wasted bullets. And then whenever I started getting serious and I got tired of being mediocre, I started looking at other people and what did they do to get better? And the answer is dry fire.
Yeah.
Because they're working with the same mechanics that I have. I know how to draw, I know how to present, and I know how to aim, and I know how to pull the trigger, and I know how to reload, just the same as you do.
Yep.
But they're doing it at a way faster rate, and they're more repetitive. It's like, they're, call it muscle memory, call it repetition, whatever you want to. Their guns come out, and they're on target, and they know. Like they're, it's almost point shooting, but it's not.
Well, their body mechanics and their muscle memory has gotten to the point so much that they don't need to think about like you said, drawing from the holster, getting sights on target, and getting ready to pull the trigger. As soon as they present, they're there. They're there. They don't need to think and realign and readjust. They're there.
Yep.
They've gotten everything dialed in, and that's like you said, they're dry firing and doing this stuff at home that doesn't cost money.
Yep.
All it costs is time.
Yeah.
But if you're watching TV, you could be doing the same thing.
That's what I've been doing at night. When the TV's on, I stand in the living room and stick up a little. Sometimes do it in the garage. If I'm cooking outside, on the grill, you've got 15 minutes, 20 minutes while your burgers are on, while your steaks are cooking. I've got some little targets cut out in my garage. They're posted up on the wall. If you go inside while watching something at night, you don't have to. That's another thing I was going to say. You run a timer, but inside, if it's just working on drawing out of the holster, presenting to the little reduced size target on the wall, that doesn't have to be time. But one of the bigger things that I've been doing lately is I bought a timer. I've had a timer. I started using a timer, and that gives me some kind of quantifiable data that I can get to, and. If this week I set my timer on 1.5 second draw and I draw my gun out and I've made a good presentation and a good trigger pull, then I don't need to go back there.
Yeah.
I need to, even before the week's out, I may bring that down, next week I'll bring it down lower or, while I'm doing it, I'll try to get faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
While I'm doing it.
And for those of you who may not understand as well, when he's talking about this shot timer, a lot of times the shot timer is used as in you press a button it'll set the buzzer off at a certain point, and then it stops when it hears a shot, right? Or it records the times at which those shots took place. But you can also set it to just go off and then beep again at a separate time. And what he's doing is he's drawing from the holster once it goes beep, and then trying to get on target and ready to pull the trigger before the second beep. So he's giving himself an artificial time that he's set, and he's trying to beat that. And if he keeps beating it so consistently that it's not even an issue anymore, he's shortening that time a little more,
right?
Making it a little tougher each time. But he's, over the weeks of 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there,
Yeah.
30 minutes there. He's seeing improvements, and that's costing him nothing. Now, if you don't have a shot timer, it'll cost you a shot timer.
Right.
But you can download an app on your phone because
Right.
you don't need it to actually track the gunshot if you're doing this kind of dry fire
Right.
thing.
Yep. Exactly.
You just need a beep and then a second beep. That
Yeah.
you
You can download them
Yep.
on the Apple Store.
Yep.
And they're some of them are even supposed to pick up gunshots, but they don't work that
Yeah,
great.
you don't trust those. But
right, but that's right. I mean, it would be a free thing for you
Yep.
to have 2 beeps, and that's all you need. You need to
just
start.
need 2
You
beeps.
need a start and a goal.
Yep, and adjustable. Like you said, adjustable. So that's something that I don't think enough people appreciate about training for cheap on the budget, right?
Right.
Because a lot of guys think, well, I can't train because I don't have $300, and it's like, well, have you tried just sitting around and presenting, pulling the trigger? Because trigger pull is really important for pistol shooting, guys.
Right. Yeah.
In my opinion, and I could be wrong. We'll see when my next guest comes, guys. Sweet. We'll see if he agrees. But in my opinion, when it comes to pistol shooting, I think about 50% of your accuracy is down to your trigger pull.
Yeah. He's gonna blow your mind.
You think so?
Oh yeah. So that's the basic fundamental of any accurate shot is sight alignment and trigger press. And
Yes.
you cannot. Grip doesn't matter. Nothing matters except for sight alignment and trigger press. If you have the worst grip on the gun possible, if your sights are aligned,
Well, that gun's not going to move until after the bullet leaves the
Right.
barrel.
Yep.
Right? So those two things are really important. And those are both things that you can work on at home for free. Right? So if you're wanting to dip your toes into competition, this is something you can do. Now, let's say someone's done a lot of dry firing. Like, let's say someone's actually really gotten their trigger pull dialed in. Let's say they got their grip dialed in. They got their drawn from the holster time dialed in. They've put in hours and hours across months, and they want to actually put to the test. One issue I find for people who are wanting to practice and put work in to get better at competition is that you can't just go to the range and shoot and shoot paper targets stagnant, because it doesn't help you as much with the competition like when you're under time.
right?
So that kind of thing requires dynamic training. So this person, like, what's one big stumbling block for them is they just can't go to a range and draw from the holster.
Yep.
They can't go to the range and do rapid follow-up shots.
Yep.
They can't go to the range and shoot at more angles than just straight on. Because for those of you around the world, because I know we have some listeners in Europe and Australia, which thank you guys so much. In my area, in the upstate of South Carolina, there's not a single public range that I can think of that allows you to shoot dynamically, draw from the holster, or do what they call it, quote unquote, rapid fire. But guys, bang, bang, not that fast, but they still consider
one
that.
shot per 3 seconds.
Yeah, they consider it one shot per 3 seconds. So you can't do that on public ranges. So people who have private property are at a huge advantage for that kind of dynamic training. And people who don't have access to private ranges are, in my opinion, at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
But once again, they can still put in the work when it comes to dry fire training. But do you think there's any answer for guys like that who really wish they could find somewhere to shoot dynamically?
50-50 on that. Yeah, I think you're at a huge disadvantage if you just dry fire and you never get live fire.
Yeah.
Do I think that you can move dynamically in your house?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Transitioning drills you can do, right? 100%.
100%. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's you can move. You can sidestep across your living room. Mm-hmm. I mean, as much as it is not like being outside and running from place to place, you still get the idea of leave this position, go to the next position, and get your gun on target. And then in your own home, you can practice safety. I mean, that's you can practice not breaking the 180. What do I do with my gun when I move left to right, right to left?
Mm-hmm. You can practice your reload drills, which is a huge stumbling block for a lot of people. They're not used to reloading on the fly under time under stress. There's a lot of stuff you really can do from home that is going to improve your shooting. But for those of you who are unable to find a public range to shoot dynamically, the one piece of advice I could give you is see if there are any gun clubs in your area, private gun ranges, because they tend to allow a little more on average. I can't speak for everyone. There's like 3 in this area, and 2 out of the 3 I know will allow for more dynamic shooting, right? So if you're in the South Carolina area, you probably know of Clinton House, which is a place that's got like a 1,000-yard range. 300-yard range, pistol bays, tons of shotgun, like skeet shooting ranges.
Yep.
But it's like $500 a year.
Yeah,
it's expensive. So that's going to require, like, if you're going to do that, make sure you're making the decision to go earn, get your money's worth
right
out of these ranges. So I don't know what's in your area. I don't know what's in your area of Utah, because I know Utah, there's a lot of private property out there that's just mountainous.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you build a relationship with someone who's got land. I don't know what your situation is or what your state's like.
Well, I'm friends with a lot of people that will drive, that will have a devoted range day, and they'll drive an hour. I mean, they've paid their membership.
Yep.
This super high,
and they're going to get their money's worth.
And they're going to but they're if it's an hour and a half away, they're set up and dedicated to go once a month, an hour and a half away.
Yep.
And that's a huge expense incurred.
Especially now, man. Can you imagine? I mean, I bet you a lot of these places, the membership's falling off right now because people can't afford to shoot to begin with.
Right.
And now they're thinking, why would I pay so much when I can't even go there once a month?
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I was being honest, if I was paying for, let's say, Clinton House, for example, and I will not bad talk Clinton House. I have had nothing but good experiences at Clinton House. But if I was paying for membership at Clinton House right now in 2021, $500 a year, to get my money's worth, I would have to go at least once to 2 times a month.
Yeah.
To get my money's worth. But now you think about it, I mean, that's about an hour drive.
Yeah.
From here.
Good solid hour.
Good solid hour. And then how much ammo is going to be, man? Well, I don't know if I could justify it at this juncture in time. Now, I'm like, once again, if you guys like long range shooting or shotgun shooting, I highly recommend checking out Clinton House. Yeah, it's worth the money.
You will find a nicer place.
You will not find a nicer place in upstate South Carolina than Clinton House. That is an awesome, awesome place. And I have no connections to them, so don't think I'm shilling. I just think it's an awesome range.
It is.
A piece of property, really. Let's not even call it a range.
Well, I mean,
tons of ranges on it.
Yeah, and I mean, they have access to the mile now. I mean, you go there and shoot.
They do some long range competitions, don't they?
They do, and I wouldn't call it by appointment only, but you have to set up to use the mile range.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. And there's some regulations to follow on that as well.
And, one thing I like about the Clinton House is if you are a member and you want to shoot the 1,000-yard range, then you reserve it. You call and reserve your time. You go down there and you have it to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's, it's a 2-hour block. You can't take the whole day. You can't take 10 people with you. You can if you pay for them, but it's your time, and I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, and you, like I said, guys, you're not going to find a nicer place. I mean, that place is taken care of.
Yep.
And it's upkept, and it's they put the work in. They definitely earn the $500 they charge.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, well, they do like quail hunts, turkey hunts, deer hunts. It's they
put on long range instructing through someone we know.
Yeah.
They do long range instruction there. I need to ask him if he wants to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
he might like that.
He might would.
They do
they do like the 3-gun. I think, what did they have down there? Like, it was last year too. It might have been 2 years ago. Like, Barrett sponsored.
Oh, it was that
Wounded Warrior thing.
Yeah, they had like Delta Force out there.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Running with them. They did like a ruck first, and then they had to go shoot. They do all kinds of stuff there, guys. But back on topic, we're spiraling here, and that's my fault.
Nah, well, it's
100% my fault.
I'll take it, run with it too.
Yeah. So I want to go back to people who don't think they have the opportunity to do some dynamic training live fire. If you can't find a private gun club, if you can't find a public range that'll let you do these things, the number one answer for you is to get training.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's to pay someone to teach you and instruct you to improve yourself. And while you're doing that, you're going to be getting reps in that are live fire dynamic shooting.
So 99% of what I know about how to shoot did not come from me because I was not doing it the most efficient way. I wasn't doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because your way is different than my way.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was not doing it the most efficient way for me. So training with a good trainer opens that up just to the nth degree. To have a guy that comes out there and says, hey, this is how I do it.
And I think we can improve on what you're doing.
This is what you're doing. Why don't you try it my way, and then let's try it this way, and let's try it this way, and then we'll put it on a timer. We'll have comparable data.
Yep.
And then we can see. And then you go home and you try this.
Yep.
And then it will blow your mind. I know yesterday I had said that you go to these classes, and some of them are $200, some of them are $600. You're not going to that for a mind-blowing experience. You're going to pick up one thing that improves how you shoot.
Yep. Yep.
And if you come away with one thing that you can take home and practice and improve yourself, then the whole day, the whole cost, everything was worth it.
100% success. I mean, that's exactly what it is. So one thing I like about a lot of these classes and a lot of these instructors I'm noticing, they're limiting the size of their class because you get a point of diminishing returns with being able to instruct people if there's too many,
Yep.
right? And this allows you to get a little bit of one-on-one instruction while you're shooting because these instructors are going to give you, let's say, a course of fire to work on, a drill to work on, and then they're going to come by and talk to each person and try to improve them
Right.
one-on-one. And I know for a fact, I took a class with someone that was recommended to me by Travis. His name was Mark Smith with JBS Training Group. And I came out of that picking up 2 very specific improvements on my shooting that I never would have thought of. I mean, I genuinely never would have thought of it. And it's kind of hard to go into details, but I mean, I went to this, it was like middle of July. It was hot as crap. I was in a plate carrier because I'm a moron and a glutton for punishment. Everyone else there was doing this really for competition use, so they were wearing belt rigs and stuff that they would wear to either their 3-gun matches or their USPSA matches. And I wasn't interested in competition as much then. So I came in a plate carrier because I wanted to work on mag drills or mag reloads from a plate carrier. And I was really sucking. But I came out of it like, dang, he straight up fixed 2 issues that I didn't know I had. Didn't even know I had.
Didn't even know you had
Didn't
them.
even know I had, right? So like you said, it wasn't like my mind was exploded, like, oh, that was the best, whatever it was. I honestly don't remember the price. It wasn't like it was the best money I ever spent in the world. But man, I didn't regret it for a second.
Yeah,
I didn't regret that money for a second.
I'm 100% probably was sub $200.
I want to say I paid right around 200, but we'll ask Mark this week. So spoiler alert, Mark Smith from JBS Training Group is going to be our next guest on the Ready Room, and we'll talk to him. You guys are going to hear a lot about him, but training is so worth it, guys, because you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And
that's you need somebody that not knows more than you, but knows more than you to assess what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that has a general knowledge of your mechanics and how your body functions to see what you're doing wrong, to analyze that and say, try this. And like I said earlier, my way may not be the best way or the worst way, but my way may be inefficient and another way is more efficient.
Yeah. And one thing I think is really good about this instructor is this is a third party, right? This is someone who doesn't know you from Adam, and they're not there to be biased. They're not there to affirm your own pride. They're here to help you and give you what you paid for, which is instruction on how to better yourself.
Yep.
Right? Because let's say I'm really, really good friends with somebody and we're running drills. Well, that person may not
They don't hurt your feelings.
They don't want to hurt my feelings. They don't want to call me out for doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So this guy is not going to, he doesn't have these qualms. He's like, I'm here to teach you. You pay me money to teach you. Let me teach you.
Yeah.
And they're going to give you instruction that's really beneficial. I really think there's no substitute for that.
Right.
And I want to speak to some guys real quick who were in the military. I'm not going to talk about anybody particularly, but I was infantry. I did a lot of training in the Army, did a lot of shooting. And if we're being honest with ourselves, the military isn't just the best at shooting. They're just not. Now, I'm not going to speak on Delta Force, Navy SEALs, PJs, MARSOC. I'm not going to speak on all these dudes. But I know for a fact that just because you qualified expert or just because you went to the range all the time as an infantryman, it doesn't mean you're going to go to these competitions and start wrecking stuff. No. It's just not how it is, right?
Most of those dudes come and get embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to swallow your pride, guys. Shooting is a perishable skill.
Yep, 100%.
Which is just, people do not realize that enough, man. Just because you qualified expert for 6 years in a row and then haven't done any real shooting in 6 years, you're not going to shoot well.
No.
I mean, just those two things don't equate to the same thing. Like shooting, just like any real skill, is very perishable. It's not like riding a bike.
No, it's not.
It's not. These fundamentals have to be refreshed constantly. Every time I go to the range, even if it's just a static indoor range shooting paper targets, I'd make a decision on which fundamental I'm going to really work on that day.
Yep.
Because if you're not, like, those fundamentals are slipping.
Yeah.
Your trigger pull is slipping. Your sight alignment is slipping. All this stuff is slipping constantly.
Right. Your grip, your stance.
Yes,
your
everything.
Recoil mitigation, everything.
So you got to stay on top of that. And one of the best ways is to get that third-party instruction where they're constantly helping you. And guys, this is their job. I can promise you, A lot of these real professional instructors will outshoot all of us any day of the week. And it's just because, guys, they do it all the time. They're constantly working and improving and trying to, and they're still trying to better themselves too. You got to think about that. They're trying to even become more efficient than they already are.
Right. Well, they still take training classes for themselves. I mean, the guys that they're reaching out to are top tier.
Yeah.
You know, they're still reaching out to people that are better than them to say, teach me what I need to do to improve.
Yeah, you can't be prideful in this kind of thing. This with shooting, especially in competition, which is the main focus of today, like there's always someone better, and that's life in general. There is always someone better.
Yes.
Right? So you got to constantly improve yourself. So that's like,
well, if you keep going and you're the best, you're going to get bored.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'll either quit or seek somewhere else that is better, that has somebody better to make you better, because once you reach the top, to me, it would be boring.
Yeah. So, I want to do a quick recap on this specifically. What kind of work goes into competition shooting? We talked about dry fire. Working on your trigger pull in the house. Working on drawing from the holster. In the house. Working on transitions, mag changes, all these things you can do for free in your house that are going to give you the muscle memory and build up that skill, these fundamental skills, right?
And there are tons of YouTube videos on dry fire.
Yeah.
Mark Smith has some awesome ones. A real good friend of his, Nick Young, at a Velox training group. Mm-hmm. He puts out some awesome content on dry fire. He dry fires every day.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but if you guys want an example of proof of dry firing working, I want you to go look up T-Rex Arms video on I believe is a Japanese kid they pulled from Japan who had only shot airsoft. Now, he was really good at airsoft. He played it all the time, but they don't have guns over there. So he had never, ever fired a real handgun. And they got him onto T-Rex Arms. And I wasn't trying to say Japanese kid is derogatory. I think he was like 18 years old.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
He was young.
He was young. And he gets on the range at T-Rex Arms, and they hand him a real gun. And within seconds, he was running that gun like he'd been doing it his entire life.
Yep.
Because he does so much. Apparently, he dry fired every single day an airsoft gun.
Yep.
For airsoft. And it was there's so much evidence in his real life shooting, even though he had never fired a gun.
Yep.
I mean, that's proof in the pudding right there.
Right. He had the basic fundamentals down, and he had practiced them to a point where he was fast.
He was fast.
Yeah. So and it
didn't take him I think one magazine to understand the recoil, and he was zoned in, dude. He was on it.
Yep.
So that dry firing does work. Don't say it doesn't work, guys. Even this kid was dry firing airsoft guns, and he got on that camera and he ran that gun better than I probably could in 2 years of practice.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy ran that thing.
Yep. Well, and then past dry fire, the only thing that you can pick up at the range is a recoil impulse.
Yeah.
I mean, the gun going off, the slide coming back and going back home.
Yep.
And then it all goes.
Yeah, it's hard to practice shooting to reset at home.
Yeah.
Right. But that's something.
But I mean, it goes back to if you're coming up from your draw and you're presenting, you're on target then. So whenever the gun recoils back and then goes back into battery, you should still just be looking for the sight to be on target.
Yeah.
And that comes from knowing where your gun is, knowing your grip, and
knowing where it's going to be.
Knowing where it's going to be.
Because that's one thing. So one thing Mark Smith taught us was I think it was shooting accurately quickly. And one of the drills we were doing, he was like, if your red dot is on the target, why haven't you pulled the trigger?
Yep.
Right? It was one of these things, and I'm probably misquoting him, but it was one of those things where we're shooting like 6 shots in rapid succession, right? And he's like, your brain is telling you where your red dot is at relative to the target. So if it's on there, pull the dang trigger.
Right.
Because if you wait, because you're not sure, you're trying to steady yourself more and more and more and more and more, right, it's going to be off target. And it was just really cool thing where you stop putting so much overthinking into it, and you only pull the trigger when that dot was on the target, and boom, boom. Right. It was awesome.
When your sights.
Yeah.
One thing that he says, and excuse me for staying your line. Yeah, your sights are your speedometer.
Yeah.
So your sights tell you how fast to go.
Yeah.
And as soon as, in the situation you're talking about, and I'll say this as a whole, in the competition world, you're not going for pinpoint accuracy. We're not grouping rifles here. We're not grouping pistols. The goal is to put 2 bullet holes or whatever the course of fire requires onto the target as quickly and as efficiently as we can.
Yeah, and that's something I think we forgot to mention was, guys, in USPSA, these targets have multiple zones that are worth a different point value system. And, in both of these competitions I went to, which were my first ones ever with no real training for competition, I was not doing these dry fire drills. I was not doing all this stuff. I got middle of the pack, and I was very, very happy with being middle of the pack for my first time without putting any real effort into it. And but I was noticing when I was looking at the scoring, I was like, I'm shooting a lot more. I mean, I was shooting a lot more accurately than some of the guys in the top 5. And I was like, I don't understand how, let's say they got 50% alpha hits, which is dead center mass, and then center of the forehead, or the A zone, really, what do they call it? They call it the A zone. Instead of getting 50-50, where they were 50% in the alphas and 50% in the Charlies, which is pretty much the rest of the torso area, I was like 80-20. Yeah. But I was so much slower than them, it didn't matter. So, like you said, it's about efficiency. It's about a hit's a hit. Get that hit in there, get to the next target, get that hit in there.
Get it on the paper and go to the next one.
And that's something you guys can all work on at home, man. I mean, this is stuff that it doesn't take too much to dip your toes in the competition. That's why we're here today, is talk about dipping your toes in the competition. So, you said you were invited by a friend.
I was invited, yep.
I was invited by the friend sitting here right here. So, I'm pretty sure that most gun owners in America that are listening to this podcast, you probably know someone who goes to competitions. Yep. And just ask to tag along sometime if you want, right? Yep. Have a good gun that you trust. Don't dump a ton of money into it right away.
Yeah.
Have a good handgun that you trust, even if it's just your carry gun. An out of the waistband holster, unless you're doing some of the divisions that allow you to draw from the concealed carry.
The rules are changing now.
Yeah.
So,
and then have an extra mag carrier, and then go tag along with that friend. You're not going to dump a ton of money into it right away. And if you like it, man, you might catch the bug like us, and you might be hooked. Getting into it is not as hard as I really once thought. I really thought it was going to be really difficult.
And that's I know we talked about it yesterday, and I keep forgetting. But the website, Practice Score.
Yep.
PracticeScore.com.
Yep.
You can go on there and type in where you are, and it will pop up a map with gun shooting venues around you. Yep. And some of them are planned out to the end of the year, what they're going to have, and you can click on there. You can go. A lot of them have the course of fire broke down,
which is awesome.
Right, how much ammo you'll need.
Yep.
And then you can usually follow the link to their website, and they will tell you. They'll have an idea on their safety rules. Yep. What time they start, what it's going to cost, what you need to bring,
how much ammo, what kind of gear. Yeah. All this stuff is like laid out for you on this one website.
Right, and it's easy. And it's you can register there, you can register to shoot there. You usually got to pay in person.
Yeah.
But then you do that, and then you get there, and then I know one thing we talked about it yesterday, and I hate to keep saying that, is if you're new and you go, don't be scared to raise your hand and say, "Hey, I'm new."
Exactly.
Because people will. It's very welcoming. Everybody's nice, and usually the best shooters there will be the ones that come to you first to say, "Let me help you."
Yep. Because I think that's what's another good thing about competition shooting, guys, is it's a bunch of 2A dudes who are there to have fun and engage with other 2A dudes. And it's not just dudes. That second competition we went to, there were like 2 girls there that were running and gunning. They were killing it.
Yeah.
So it's not just dudes, but the point is, like, it's a community, and I think the community should be reinforcing each other, helping everyone out. You shouldn't be some jerk, and think you're better than somebody else. Like, everyone should be helping each other out. So say it again for me, PracticeScore.com.
Practice Score, PracticeScore.
Yep, Practice Score, guys.
It's free to get on, free to set up an account.
Yep.
And you just go in there and check it out.
Yeah, so even if you don't have any friends that are actually, going to competitions in your area, you can pull it up and say, "What's in my area?"
Yep.
And it's going to give you a rundown. And you can maybe some of these. Is it just USPSA or is it a lot of competitions?
No, it's about everything registers on there now. I mean, everything.
So if there's 2 gun in your area or 3 gun in your area, you're going to find out on this website, and you can just go, look, what do I need? What do I want to bring? Do I want to go? How much is it going to cost? And you just go there, and like you said, do not be afraid to ask questions, guys. Like we said earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't.
Right? And there's only one way to find out, and that's asking.
Well, it's not worth getting there and getting sent home over doing something that you didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Breaking a rule that you didn't know that you were supposed to follow, where you could, just anything. Well, I mean, there's an area where you put your gun on. You can't just have your gun out everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Knowing where to put your gun on, when you get up there and get ready,
when
and
you
what
can
to do
load
when you
it.
get done.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll give you guys an example. I was embarrassed. My first competition, I went up to a stage of fire, and I finished it up, and I went to go put my holster back in, or my gun back in my holster, and the guy was like, "All right, show clear." So I pulled the slide back, showed clear, dropped the slide, pulled the trigger, And that's when you put the gun back in the holster in that situation. But my muscle memory was like, nah, recock it. So I charged the slide for some reason, and the dude just laid into me, and I was like, man, that's embarrassing, because it just feels awkward, but it's just, get over it, man. Just move on. Go to the next thing. Get over it and move on, because these guys they're being firm because they got to be. Safety rules at a gun range are there for a very specific reason. I think it's something that a lot of people. I mean, I love seeing kids competing. You brought up yesterday that there were some kids competing at an indoor range,
action rifle.
Yeah,
and it was like 25 kids, and their parents brought them, so they weren't old enough to drive.
Yeah,
but and they all had 10-22s.
That's
and
awesome.
I know, and they're part of some kind of school shooting team.
That phrasing seems a little weird, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what better? I mean, I can't think of a better hobby for kids to be into besides martial arts. Like those two, like that's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, that is. I hope my kid wants to get into competition shooting as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it teaches them responsibility, safety, everything.
Responsibility and safety for sure. So we gone over a little bit on how to get in. Hopefully this information in this section, guys, really helped you figure out how to dip your toes in the competition shooting. But so I wanted to reinforce why I chose Travis for this episode. So I mentioned that he's been doing really well as of late for how much experience he has in the competition world. So Travis said he's been doing competition shooting, give or take, for about 3 years. But he mentioned yesterday that he's only been taking it seriously for 6 months?
Probably.
To a year, maybe?
Yeah. Good solid 6 months.
Yeah. And I saw him share a dang photo of him getting second place at a competition. And who was in first place, Travis?
GM pistol shooter.
A grandmaster pistol shooter took first place over Travis, but Travis got second. And wouldn't you have gotten pretty dang close to him in this?
Oh,
or was that a different one?
No, that was
this one?
that was an indoor rifle match, and it was it tore me up because I beat him on raw time and I missed one target.
Yep.
And I listen, shooting, I knew I missed it because I called my shot and I knew, and I kept going because in my mind I wanted to go fast.
Yep.
And it ended up costing me. And had I went back and made up that shot, I would have ran a whole clean, stage. But the time difference that I beat him by overall, I don't know if I could have made up a shot in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So it was close. But, those guys are good, man. They're stone cold.
Yes.
And I was panicking. Like I was like, I got to go fast.
Yeah.
And these guys here, they're just like, eh.
Yeah, it's just, local competition.
Right. Yeah. And this, this wasn't even a pistol competition where he excelled.
Yeah.
But your skills transfer over, and I'm sure
exactly.
I'm sure he just didn't wake up on a Thursday and say, I think I might go shoot my rifle tonight.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and that's what I was really excited for. I mean, I saw this on Instagram, and I was so ecstatic for Travis. And I mean, this is not a joke. Like I looked at it, I was like, look at my boy Travis getting second place. Then he told me the story, and as we mentioned earlier, guys, it's a combination of time and hits. And so Travis, what he just explained was that he beat him in time, but he had missed one shot, which cost him what? Was it
like 5 seconds?
5 seconds. So he actually got second place to this GM. So Travis has been going and putting in the work. He's been at home dry firing. He's been drawing. He's been going to training, instructing.
I promise you, that's the biggest thing
that's
for me
the biggest
lately.
Thing.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this yesterday, and since it wasn't, the audio wasn't there, I'm going to mention it again. Try to reinforce this. I love seeing in just the past year of Travis's progress, because seeing him put the work in and then actually seeing real statistical results it's amazing, dude. I mean, I'm sure it feels amazing.
Oh, it does.
100% sure.
Yeah,
it feels
that was
amazing.
that was just a high coming home. Like, hey, I did. It was frustration because I missed, and I knew it. I knew shooting it. I did.
Yeah.
But the goal for me was to go fast and do good, and I went fast and did good.
Yep.
So
I'm just so proud of him, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I think getting into competition shooting is a lot easier and even more fun if you got a group of friends you're doing it with.
Yep.
Because you can all be reinforcing each other, and I think we should all be proud of each other's achievements. I know some people get jealous, which is weird. When they see people succeeding, there's that greed or that jealousy that wants to compare themselves to it.
Yep.
And you can't live like that, guys. Be proud of somebody for making strides and improving their lives or improving something specific, even if it's just a hobby or whatever. Like, Be proud of people. Give them credit and like reinforce that behavior because it helps them and it's going to help you in your humbleness as well.
Yeah.
Like praise people's success.
Absolutely.
100%.
Like celebrating somebody else's success.
There you go. That's how you phrase it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not good at phrasing it, but
yeah, no, if you don't do that, you're just a crappy person.
100%. But see, I know people like that who they just can't be glad for someone. You know,
Right.
It's always got to be comparable to them, and I won't compare myself.
No.
With, I mean, oh, this guy makes more money than me. Okay, well, he's probably earned that money.
Right.
What am I doing to not earn that money? Right.
Yeah.
So, my family motto, and this is off topic a little bit, but I found it out when I was researching my family history and my family name. I found proof of them in England and all that stuff. But what was really funny is the family motto in Latin basically comes down to imitate rather than to envy. And when I was younger, I was like, that's stupid. That just means fake it till you make it. And then I grew up and I realized, no, that's not at all what it means. It means instead of envying what someone has or what some lifestyle they've got, imitate what they did to achieve that success.
Yeah. So,
put the work in. And
so
it comes into competition.
let me drop this one on you.
Drop it.
I was talking to a guy the other day, and we were, I would more or less say I was complaining about some things,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, you know, he goes to church, I go to church. He said, you know, he said the Bible tells us that that God's going to take care of the birds of the air and the flowers, and we shouldn't worry about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but it never said that God brings the worms to the birds in the nest.
Yep.
So the food is there. You have to go and get it.
You got to go and get it.
And that's like, man, I opened my eyes to shooting, to life, to work, to what I want.
Yep. You're not going to improve just sitting there wanting it.
No.
Wanting it is one thing. That's half. Half. The other half is going and earning it.
That's right. And that's what's made me take a turn towards wanting to do better.
Yeah.
Is I was tired of going and finishing middle of the pack,
Mm-hmm.
and then going home back. Man, that's a bummer. Like I could have did better. Like that guy, he is no better than me, but he did better than me.
Yeah.
Because he paid his dues. I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
No, 100% agree, man.
6 months, a year from now, if I keep on the rate I'm going, if somebody beats me, then they're better than me. They didn't work harder than me. They're probably better than me.
Yep.
And there's always going to be somebody that works harder, that does better.
Yep. I mean, there's guys that get 4 hours of sleep and all they do is work on this one thing. Like,
yeah. I mean, you know,
people like that.
There's people that have access to, you know, that's their job is to shoot.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll never compete with that guy because that's his 9 to 5 is.
Hey, never say never. What if you turn into that guy one day?
I don't know.
You never say never.
I don't know. Maybe.
Pretty cool, man.
That would be pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
My phone is still ringing 900 times a day
I know.
from everybody else.
I know. Well, what you do is, well, no, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
No, I honestly think you're the kind of person that'd be good at that. Just in the long run, if like you said, if you got into the point where you're constantly improving, I think you're the kind of person who's got the personality to help share that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's part of what's needed to be a good instructor is to be willing to share this information that benefits somebody. You know.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of personality to be any kind of instructor.
Yeah. So quickly, there's different kinds of competitions.
Yep.
We mostly talked on USPSA because it's what I've done. It's mostly what Travis has done.
Yep.
There are 2-gun competitions, which is a rifle and a pistol.
Yep.
There's 3-gun, which is a rifle, shotgun, and pistol.
Yep.
Same idea, courses of fire, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
But the 2 main pistol competition, what would you call them? Groups or leagues or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's but competition styles.
Yeah. There's IDPA.
Yep.
Which we know nothing about.
It's a bunch of old dudes with vests.
A bunch of old fuds.
Yeah.
With vests on.
And I would just assume in my mind they're 1911s.
Yeah, or like I said, ankle revolvers.
Yep.
You know. And then there's USPSA, which has a wide variety of divisions within it, right?
Yes.
So this is, like we said, it's time versus time and hits, how accurate the hits were. And I don't want to go into it as much as we did yesterday because it's I realized how complicated it got.
Oh yeah, it's very complicated. I don't understand it.
Yeah, your cartridge matters, by the way, guys. Like which cartridge you shoot will have an effect on your score. If you're really interested in that, if you're trying to min-max stuff, you need to go look it up yourself because that is complicated. I suck at math.
They have a very nice 100-page rule book that explains it in detail.
Okay, so you could look that up. The USPSA rule book. Look that one up.
Yeah.
But,
if you want something to take notes on because you don't have anything else to do tonight.
Yeah.
And then whenever you figure it out, call me and tell me, please.
But if you're looking to do USPSA, there's a couple different divisions within it that are based on what you're shooting, right?
Yes,
so there's
it's
single action
all
only.
It's all based off of what you're shooting.
Single action only, carry optics.
Let's see. I start from the top down for what I remember.
Okay.
There's open. That is you can do anything to your gun that you want to do.
Yep.
Limited is the next one down. Limited's like you can't have a red dot or like a compensator, but anything else you can do it.
Magwell, upgrade trigger,
yep.
extended magazine.
Yep, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, within there's some limits on that, but
Yeah.
You know, there's a production that you just go buy a gun off the shelf and you're ready to go.
Yep.
There is single stack. Let's see, there's like limited 10. You don't have 10 rounds in your mag.
Yeah.
There's a revolver category, which is I have never seen anybody shoot a revolver category. And then poor man's open, which is what everybody's going to, is carry optics.
Yeah.
Which is basically it is poor man's open. You can't have a magwell and you can't have a comp. Anything other than that is pretty much fair game.
Someone's going to build a race gun that they actually carry. That's got like a freaking gas pedal on the left side, everything.
Yeah,
that's going to be funny.
I don't. You know, it's funny you said that about gas pedals. I don't know that. You know, have you seen like the 321?
Yeah.
That I don't know if that's legal or not. I don't think that it is.
I don't know. I ain't reading that 100-page rule book.
Yeah. So I've been trying to tweak my gun as much as I can, and I've been reading
pushing the limits.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. You know, it's pretty black and white.
Yeah.
But at the point where they say aftermarket, I can have an aftermarket part. Define aftermarket part.
Exactly.
I bought it, and the part that I bought says Walther on it.
Especially when you buy stuff exactly from the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not aftermarket.
Nope.
But it probably wouldn't fall into production because the gun didn't come like that, right?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, production you can't have red dots and stuff like that. So triggers and you know,
down to earth, real quick, guys. All that means is there's all these different divisions based on what the gun in your hand is. So we would recommend just taking the gun you're already comfortable with, you're used to shooting, take it up there, put some time in. If you like it, then you can decide on what division you'd rather shoot in. You know, maybe you like to stay in the carry optics. Maybe you want to move to limited. I shot limited because it was just the Canik Combat Elite already had the magwell on it. Yep. You know, I didn't even have an optic on it, and I was kind of at a disadvantage on that one. Everyone else in the class had an optic, but I mean, it was fine. I had a really good time. And then, heck, you can go shoot your 1911. I don't think you're going to have as much fun, you know, with the 5 magazines you'll need to bring for those courses of fire. But
and the first time that anybody goes, the best thing to do is like you said, just take what you have. Don't fill out a place because you're not the first time you go, you're not going to win.
Yeah,
you're not going to win.
You're not competing.
Right.
You're there to have fun.
Right. You're going to feel it out, get an experience, and that's one thing that we talked about yesterday. We haven't today is what you need to go. Like the equipment that you need.
Oh yeah.
And
I brought it up a little bit. You know, you need to.
It comes down to very basic things.
Yeah.
You need a holster and a magazine pouch.
Yep.
And a couple magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking about a very cheap investment if you don't already have it.
For sure. And like he said, you're not going to win, but what's definitely going to happen when you get there is you're going to be humbled a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't care how good of a shooter you are. You're going to go to that competition, and something is going to happen that's going to humble you.
You're going to see some guy shoot that he's going to shoot so fast you're going to think that it's fake.
Yeah, you're going to be like, that's 22.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they shoot like, call it movie fast.
Yeah.
You know, like all the stuff you see in movies, that stuff is fake. But some of these guys, it's unreal. And I mean, they still blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you see some guns that, I mean, these are race guns that might still be 9mm, and they look like 22s when they fire because there's no movement.
Right.
But at the same time, even if you go and you get humbled because you don't shoot as well as you thought you could, which we never can, you're still going to feel good because you're going to go, you had that fun. And if it's your first time shooting dynamically, it's going to make you feel like John Wick a little bit. Like you went and you shot and you transitioned and you shot, you know, and it definitely wasn't my first time shooting dynamically. I did a lot of that in the Army, but, it was the first time doing it under time and stress, and it was well, I can't even say stress. I did a lot of stress shoots in the Army too, but it was different, man. The timing is different.
That
it hits
buzzer,
different.
That buzzer changes you.
It hits different.
Yeah. It's like it's on-demand performance.
It is, exactly. And it's you guys are going to like it if you like shooting. I think it's a net positive. Last couple of questions for Travis.
Okay.
Travis, what is the gun you currently shoot with for your competitions?
I shoot a Walther Q5 steel frame match something. I think it's a Q5 steel frame match.
Yeah.
I think it's what it's called.
Yeah. Or Q5 match steel frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Because they make a polymer frame, but might as well get the steel frame to help with the weight.
Yep.
And it's slightly modified. It's not, I have a drop-in trigger, just a trigger bar. I put an extended magazine release on it. It has a red dot on it.
Yep.
Because that's part of carry optics.
Yep. And you modified the inner mag well, right?
I did, yes. Yeah. So on carry optics, you cannot have a mag well. You can't modify the external.
Yeah.
But it says that you can modify the internal dimensions.
Yep. And this fabricator was like, "Oh, say no more."
Dremel. Yeah, that's my sponsor.
We could have put it on a mill. You know that, right? We could have taken it to the mill and given you some clean cuts.
Nah, not what I wanted to do. You can't bend that mill around the edge. So
you'd be surprised. Get a nice little cutter in there and just
Dremel and Rust-Oleum. It's official sponsors of the poor man. So,
I love it. So that's not a crazy expensive setup, really. In the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at 2011s in the world.
No.
Right?
No, that I think that's a $1,500 gun. That is with a red dot. That's $2,000, and it's a competition gun.
Yeah, but he's decided that he's competing.
Yes.
Right? You can get in there cheaper. You can get a stock VP9 long slide, P30 long slide. You can get a Glock 17 if you want.
17,
if you already shoot Glocks.
If you have a Glock 19.
320s.
The carry out is geared towards dudes that most people that are serious about shooting now, they're going to carry with a red dot.
Yeah.
So and that's what carry optics is. You bring your carry gun in there.
I feel personally attacked. I don't carry with a red dot.
Yeah, you'll learn one day. And they've changed the rules recently to allow you to shoot appendix inside the waistband.
Yeah.
And they changed the rules where you can have a flashlight because a lot of people now are carrying flashlights on their guns.
Which is smart. I respect that for sure.
So
I can't find it. See, my issue is I can't find a holster for the P10C that'll fit a flashlight. Sorry, that'll fit a poor man's flashlight. There's plenty of holsters that'll fit a Surefire.
Yeah.
But I'm not slapping a Surefire on there.
Which one you
I can't afford a Surefire.
Oh, what light you looking for?
I don't know. I think I was going to go with what was it? I think I was going to go with a Streamlight most likely, just because I can afford it.
There's plenty of dudes out there
with holsters.
Oh yeah.
I know I can have one made.
Yeah,
I'll call Tuck and have him make one.
There's plenty of dudes now that have molds and they just you might have to wait a week or two.
Yeah, exactly.
The lead times right now are crazy on everything.
That's what I really meant is buying a factory holster. Like there's plenty of ones that are like P10C Surefire.
Yeah,
but they're not maybe Mod Light too, maybe.
Yeah,
but
they're coming.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, listen, I'm telling you, if you want a Surefire, wait till those things drop, and the market will be flooded with Surefires.
Oh yeah, once the market normalizes, I might pick up two.
Yeah,
because people are gonna be like, oh crap, I can't sell this for $1,000 now. Yeah, exactly. So he shoots guys, Walthers are underappreciated in the grand scheme of things. You need to go check them out. So the last thing I want to ask Travis was, now that he's been taking it seriously for about six to 8 months, let's say, what are your goals with competition shooting? Do you plan to move forward and climb in rankings in the future, or are you really just doing it to improve yourself?
So the rankings never mattered to me. I want to improve myself. I want to be better next month than I am this month. Mm-hmm. And it's whether that means to be where I made less mistakes or that I did better on paper, I guess in the ranking,
Yeah.
But in the end, I don't care that I finished first. I don't care that I finished last.
Yeah.
I want to go home and say that I shot a clean match. I didn't.
And I did better than last time.
I made good hits.
Improving.
I went as fast as I could.
Yep.
And I didn't. The biggest part for me now is mental mistakes, because as soon as that buzzer goes off, it's like insane pressure, and you have a game plan. Your game plan goes out the window.
Yep.
And my goal now is to rein that in, focus on good clean hits and as fast as possible, and find the fine line between speed and accuracy.
Yep.
And do the best that I can.
Well, I like it, man. So you're not looking to be on a national team. You're just looking to really improve yourself, and that's something that I think everyone should respect. I think everyone should be looking to improve themselves in some way every day. I mean, if you're not doing that, guys, you're going to stay stagnant and you're going to regret. You're going to have regrets through life.
Yeah.
You know, I think we can all. Nobody's perfect, and everyone knows nobody's perfect, but nobody is willing to admit that they can improve themselves.
Exactly.
And that's an oxymoron. If you're not perfect, there's room for improvement, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you want to put that improvement. And I think improving your shooting, which is not just shooting, by the way, guys, it's discipline, and it's a lot of things, fundamental things that are built into shooting in general, shooting sports and firearm ownership in general, respect and safety and all these things. I think that's a really good area to improve.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, man. Well, Travis, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate
Thanks
you
for being
having
here
me.
the second time.
Oh, yeah.
Because my computer wanted to be the worst person in the world. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode on getting into competition shooting. Find us on Instagram, TBR Gunworks, Facebook as well, the website, and you find Travis on Instagram, Carroll Travis 90.
Yep.
There we go. There's two
We'll
L's.
We'll work on something more creative.
Well, one day.
One day.
We'll rearrange that. Next episode hopefully won't be late like this one was. I'm gonna put this out same day. But guys, thank you so much for watching or listening. I really appreciate it. Travis appreciates it.
Yep. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. I loved doing it, and that's why I was so sad when the recording didn't go through.
Yep.
It was such a good episode, and I think this one was just as good.
Oh yeah,
I think we
I
did
agree.
good. Be safe, guys. Take care. Remember, every single gun right or not gun right. Ooh, that's not right. Remember, every gun law is an infringement.
That's right.
Gun rights are. I actually put an episode out like that one time where I misspoke and I said gun right is an infringement and just ended the video.
We're never watching this guy again.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this guy's crazy. No, guys,
Calm down.
I'll leave you a review. You suck.
Hippie.
Nah, guys, I appreciate it. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you guys next time.